Hello friends, welcome back to the Mothership. Today we are going to be smoking up our very own prime rib on a pellet grill. Let's get started. What I have here is approximately a 3-pound USDA prime rib. If you aren't sure what that cut is, honestly, the bones around here, cut the center out, that's basically what a ribeye steak is. It's really, really good, especially if you can get like a nice 10-pounder. It's a really long log. You can cut steaks into it, or you can just cook it all together. And it's kind of the standard in the United States, especially in the Northeast, for Christmas meals, New Year's Eve, what have you. Now, as you can see on the steak, this has already been prepped. So basically what I did is I took some butter, I let it soften, added a whole bunch of garlic, some salt, a couple of herbs, and then just coated the whole thing and let it marinate like that for about 30 hours. I'll hold the recipe down below. But this means we've got a nice amount of butter and fat on top here, which is gonna let it crisp up, and all that salt and flavor has been absorbed into the prime rib. Now, cooking these things, you could absolutely cut them into much smaller steaks, like a ribeye, and throw them onto your grill. But in general, people like to keep the whole thing intact, and people do it in the oven, people broil it, people sous vide them. What we're gonna do today is actually smoke it. So first thing we're gonna do is get the smoker running about 180 degrees to get a base level of smoke on there. Then we'll bump it up, cook it all the way through, and then we're gonna sear it off. Now, to get a good exterior char, you can obviously use your grill at a high temperature. You can use the broil function on your oven. For us, we're gonna use a sear gun, but I'll show you that when we come to it. But what's important here, the smoke, we wanna get our pellet smoker, like I said, to 180. The reason we are starting at 180 degrees is because pellets are inherently efficient, which means that at lower temperatures, they're gonna produce that dirtier smoke, or the smoke that actually has flavor. At higher temperatures, they're just gonna be clean burning and very warm. So in general, if you wanna get smoke on your food, you gotta start at low temperature for the pellet grill. Whereas like if we're using charcoal or actual wood, 250, 225 is going to produce a lot of smoke, or even up to 275 to 300, you're still going to get smoke. Pellet grills, 180 to 250 is really the range where you actually get good smoke flavor. Now, all that being said, I'm going to get a probe in here just so I can watch the temperature, and let's get out the pellet grill and throw it on. Smoker's up to temp at 180 degrees, and I have it on the top shelf like I always do. I want as far distance between my meat and the fire source, which in my case is on the bottom. I also have the bone facing downwards. In general, I just want a little more protection on the meat, even though this conduction's up and over, so it's probably hotter up top. But in my mind, I think bone towards the heat source is the most important thing. And we're gonna run this at 180 for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Total time on this, I'm thinking about 45 minutes per pound, but I wanna run for about 2 hours at 180, get as much smoke on there as possible, then I'll bump it to 250, and then I'll take it to about 15 to 20 degrees before I wanna pull it off. So in my case, I'm probably gonna do about 110, sear it, and then just see where I'm at that point. I can always put it on for more temperature after that, but I want to not overcook it. That's the most important thing with prime rib, obviously. Get it to a point where you've cooked it mostly, and then you're going to do your sear, whether that's a broiler, your grill, or with a sear gun, and then you assess where you are. If you have to put it back in the oven, that's fine, but the most important thing, don't overcook it, guys. Prime rib is expensive, it's delicious, don't overcook it. But like I said, 180 degrees for about 2 hours. Get a lot of smoke on there, and we'll come back and assess when 2 hours are up. Okay, we are actually about 2 hours in, and my internal temperature is about 110 degrees. So what I want to do is I want to take it to 130, and that's when I actually eat it. Which means 110, I want to pull it off, and I want to let it rest for a little bit and then sear it off, or I could sear it now and then let it rest. But the point is, I'm expecting at least 10 degrees of temperature movement just based on the bone and letting it rest. And then when I sear it, probably about another 5 to 10 degrees. So depending on which order you want to do, if you want to sear it now or let it rest now, the point is you're probably going to get 10 to 15 degrees of temperature increase at this point. For me, I'm going to pull it, wrap it in tinfoil, let it rest for about a half an hour, and then sear it off. Because you know what, if it's not temp at that point, you can always put it in the oven, let it warm up. But the point is you don't want to overcook. So 110 degrees though, this is coming off for me. And if you're looking for about 140 degrees, fine, I'll wait another 10 minutes and then do this. But because I'm looking for 130 when it's finally done, this is the time to pull her off. Okay, so this needs to sear before we keep going, guys. And obviously you could use your grill at a very high temperature, but you know, we have a sear gun here, so obviously we're gonna use that. That exterior looks perfect. Let's get it inside. Honestly, at this temperature, it's probably ready to eat, but I'm gonna get a temperature read on it. If it's too low, Then I'm just gonna put it into an oven at about 120 degrees, just to let it come up to temperature. But in reality, it's probably ready to go right now. So I'm gonna let it rest for maybe 20 minutes. Then we're gonna pull it and actually eat it. Alrighty. We have an internal temperature of honestly about 125, which to be honest is exactly what I'm looking for. I could go a little bit further, but you know what? I like it a little bit undercooked when it comes to medium rare, so this is gonna be great. Bones right here. So when you're carving this sucker, you wanna find your bone, and this is gonna be the same for obviously a bigger roast. Just cut along the bone. It's gonna curve a bit. Boom, and remove the bone. All this is still good meat, but when you actually want to cut it for folks, I'll take this guy off. Also going to be great. You want to turn it on its side again. You want to cut against the grain, and let's see what our slices are going to look like. Now the intermuscular on these didn't want to stay together, but you know what? Doesn't really matter. Still looks great. This is a fantastic looking cut. Excited to eat this, but time to get the chomp, guys. I'm starving. Let's see how we did. Now, prime rib is a weird one. Doesn't necessarily mean you're getting prime cut. It just means it is the part of the rib that turns into the ribeye. So you can get choice prime rib, you can get select prime rib, or you can get prime rib. This is a prime one. But to be honest, they're all delicious. It's that beautiful cut of meat that turns into one of my favorite steaks. Maybe not my favorite, but one of my favorite steaks, which is the ribeye. And honestly, guys, you can't beat it. So what we did here is we smoked it for about 2 hours, and we seared it off with the sear gun. If you don't have a sear gun, don't worry about it. You can use your grill or your broiler. The point is just get that crust on the exterior. Crust looks something like this. This is what came out on my sear gun. That looks pretty darn good to me. But most importantly, guys, it's got a great color to it. I know some people like their steaks a little bit overcooked. I like them nice and red and juicy, something like that. But you know what? The proof's gonna be the pudding. Let's see how it tastes. So I'm gonna cut off a little piece here. Honestly, infusing it for that long with that butter and all those herbs, you can really taste it in there. Fantastic. Getting butter on the exterior, not only does it permeate the meat a little bit, gets that salt in there, gets all those herbs and stuff and the garlic, but it also puts butter on the exterior, which means that when you cook it, it's always kind of caramelizing a bit, which is really, really great. And then the point where we actually sear it off, any butter that's still on there definitely sears more. Honestly, guys, fantastic way to cook meat. You can taste the smoke on here. Can't stop eating it. We're gonna really love this one tonight, guys. And it is the holiday season, so we are looking at New Year's right now. Honestly, if you're looking at this at Christmas or Thanksgiving or a New Year's, because everyone cooks these suckers around holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, Happy Hanukkah, whatever holiday you're celebrating. Hope you guys have a great one. But honestly, don't be daunted by the prime rib, guys. It's not super difficult. You can definitely screw it up if you overcook it. But honestly, cook it less than you think it will, because you can always throw it back in and let it keep cooking. That's what I say to everybody who asks me about prime ribs. Same thing with turkey. Definitely cook it less than you think you will, because you can put it back in the oven always. But most importantly, guys, I'd love to know how you guys do your prime rib. Do you guys sous vide it? Do you throw it in the oven? Do you smoke it? Love to know what everyone else's thoughts are. And as always, cook some absolutely fantastic. Have a happy New Year's. And most importantly, catch you on the next UFO barbecue, guys. Bye-bye.